Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. We'll be getting started in just a minute, so get geared up for lots of information, very important information that you're going to be receiving shortly. Well, once again, welcome everyone to HAR's November webinar that's going to be focused on credit repair programs and various resources that will help empower home buyers to prepare for home ownership. Remember, if you have any questions as the presenters are speaking, we encourage you to put them in the chat and then we'll get them answered as soon as time permits. Well, this marks HAR's 10th and last affordable housing webinar for 2021. My name is Zelda Kane, and I am the broker owner of A to Z Real Estate Consultants, where we believe an educated buyer and seller can make informed decisions. In addition, I also teach designation and certification classes for HAR. So I look forward to seeing all of you in our live virtual classes in 2022. I'll be passing off the virtual microphone to our guest speaker shortly, but before we get started, just a few key points about today's session and the rest of the program. Our theme for this annual program is Opening More Doors in 2021. Each webinar is geared towards educating the realtor community about programs, solutions, and opportunities for your clients in this ever-changing financial environment. Throughout the past year, we hope that we have provided you all with information that has created more awareness and removed any stigmas associated with the idea of affordable housing. Today's webinar will begin with our special guest presenters, Mahim Qureshi. She will be joined by fellow experts, Carolina Valderrama and Katie Thorstenberg. The objective for this session is to help you learn about the programs and the opportunities that are available to assist in credit repair. We hope that you will take this information and then pass it along to your clients. Again, I would like to remind you to put your questions into the chat throughout the afternoon. Then you can choose for the questions to go to everyone or just to the panelists, but all questions will be addressed as time permits. And since I know that you're going to ask, this and all of our past webinars are recorded and available online at the HAR TV YouTube channel. That's www.har.com/HARTV. However, we encourage you to remain live on this webinar and to attend the other sessions live in 2022 so that you can ask your own questions to the experts and interact with them as well. So let's meet our first guest speaker. Mahim Qureshi specializes in innovative public-private partnerships with 17 years of experience in housing outreach, financial inclusion, and sustainability. Mahim returned to Freddie Mac in 2016, where she manages national housing outreach initiatives in the single-family client and community engagement area. That's a mouthful. She is a strategy lead for Freddie Mac's CreditSmart suite of financial capability and homeownership education products. Previously, Mahim co-led the startup of NatureVest, which is a program of the Nature Conservancy that is building the field of conservation impact investing. Prior to that, Maheen worked at Freddie Mac for 9 years, managing national financial education and foreclosure prevention initiatives. Maheen currently lives in Washington, D.C. area. She is multilingual and has also lived in Pakistan, Myanmar, the Philippines, and Indonesia. She has served on the board of SALT, which is the South Asian Americans Leading Together, and it is a national advocacy organization and participates in various mission-oriented leadership activities. Thank you again for joining us, Maheen. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Zelda. I just want to do a quick audio check. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, it's my pleasure to be here. And most importantly, I want to introduce my co-panelists who are going to be our subject matter experts for today. With that, I have been trying to tee up sharing my screen properly, and I hope it works out okay, so please be patient with me. Please let me know if someone can do a confirmation from the panel that you can see my screen, and I'm going to project it and see if it cooperates. Can you see the first slide?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Just swap like you did earlier.
Change it.
Okay, so it's done it again. My apologies. It seems to have a mind of its own. So we are going to undo that and try once more. And let's try again. Bear with us. I don't know why my two screens like to, they don't like
I
to.
see my slide.
Yes, just go ahead and go to slideshow and display start show, and then you'll just go to display settings. Go ahead and start it again.
Yeah, let's do that one more time. Okay, all right. Let's share this and then I'll go to display settings.
Yep.
Okay.
Go to slideshow.
Yeah. So I am going to go to the slideshow here and then I'm going to go to display settings and swap. Let's see if that works.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Thought I had it all teed up. So without further ado. So again, thank you so much, Zelda. It's our pleasure to be here today. And sounds like you've had an amazing series of 10 webinars, and this is kind of like the cherry on top. So we're happy to be that cherry on top. So as Zelda mentioned, I am in Freddie Mac and my colleague Carolina is joining me today. And we are in the single family client and community engagement team. And we thought it would be wonderful to bring in who I like to call our housing counseling extraordinaire partner, Katie Thorsenberg. Katie is in your community in the Houston area. Houston is one of my favorite cities. I haven't been there since before COVID, so I'm looking forward to going back. You know, Katie is with Easter Seals of Greater Houston. And what we love about Easter Seals Greater Houston is they are not only a nonprofit organization that's serving broadly the disability community, veterans, and various other individuals and families, they're also a HUD approved housing counseling agency. So today, Katie is going to be speaking to you from the perspective of a housing counselor. She's going to have insights to share with you on how to reach low and moderate income homebuyers and others, and talk about down payment assistance programs and more. So with that, quickly, Katie, if you want to say hello, and then I'll come right back to you.
Sure. Hi, everybody. So happy to be here with you today.
Thanks, Katie. And then I'm going to, again, tee up that Carolina is here. And Carolina leads our CreditSmart Coach, Train the Trainer program, among other things that she does at Freddie Mac. And Carolina, please say hi, and then you're going to hear a lot more from Carolina in a few minutes.
Hello, I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes.
Nice being here. Thank you.
Thanks, Carolina. Perfect. Let me just ask Katie to take it away. You've got some great slides and some information to share with us from your perspective as a housing counselor.
So thanks, Maheen. This is a real pleasure because I've been working in affordable housing, I can't believe it, but for about 16 years. Easter Seals, as you mentioned, we're a nonprofit agency, but we offer a number of different financial education homebuyer programs to the most vulnerable clients. I particularly am focused with those low-income first-time home buyers. And I was looking back at the last 16 years, and I pulled up hopefully some insights for you guys to work with this population. So I've worked with over 1,000 families. I've put over 500 families in homes using down payment assistance. So the question is, how do you do it? Because most of the time you say, oh my gosh, they don't have enough income. They don't have enough assets. They don't, less than perfect credit, all of those things, right? Well, I'm here to tell you all of those 1,000+ families, when I first met them, had less than perfect credit, as we all do. They were not ready for home ownership. And so looking back to these first-time home buyers, and I'm talking about household range between as low as 20,000 gross annual up to 72,000. So that kind of gives you an idea of the income level. I looked back to ask my question, what were the two main strategies that put those 500+ families in homes? And I came up with two very simple things that y'all are going to talk about today. Education. And you're talking to realtors, and I know realtors know, what is it? Location, location, location. Well, it's education, education, education. You cannot get around that, especially with first-time home buyers. They need that solid home buyer education, financial education, not only to get themselves prepared, but and to know their responsibilities, but to make your job easier. So they're ready to actually shop with you. The other thing besides education, and this is very close to my heart, is down payment assistance programs. I've worked with them all these years. I work with a number of programs, and I'm here to tell you they work. The great myth out there is that they're complicated, they're hard to work with, it's time consuming, and I'm here to tell you, I'm gonna bust those myths. So I'm gonna show you how easy they are to help these families get into homes. So we're on the next slide. So the main thing with down payment assistance, I don't think people realize how many down payment assistance programs are out there. Did you realize over 40 programs across the state of Texas? This is a huge resource for you guys to tap into. Wherever you're trying to purchase, there usually are some down payment programs that cover that area. And the greater Houston area, and I know that you've heard from Harris County, City of Houston, and Seth and other programs, but we have about 5 major programs that cover the greater Houston area. Now, that's not to even tap into those local municipalities that have their own little down payment programs. But there's some programs that maybe you are not aware of. There's which I've worked with over the years. The Federal Home Loan Bank funds that you can use through some member banks will have it. Easter Seals, early in working with clients, we had a partnership with a bank, and we use these Federal Home Loan Banks. The good thing about those funds is they can actually be put in a third lien, so they can be used with other down payment assistance. And then also the housing voucher program, and you probably heard about these, but these are for people who have bid on housing. They've come through the family self-sufficiency program, and they have been approved for a housing voucher. So they get a certain amount of funding towards their mortgage. It's a 15-year mortgage. We have put people in homes using this housing voucher and adding our down payment assistance. So let me go right to examples, the next slide. Oh, and before I move off from this slide, the USDA loan, they have the they have the guarantee and the direct and the VA loan. And you're probably going to ask, why am I talking about those loans when I'm talking about down payment assistance? Because those loans do not require down payment assistance, but we have used both of those loans, added our down payment assistance, which has greatly increased the affordability of houses that these clients have been able to get into. And I'll talk a little bit more about how that works. So the next slide, determining, well, I want to say first, when we think of, if we could go back to slide 2, thinking outside the box, I do want to show you how these work. And I want to give you very specific examples. So I mentioned the USDA and the VA. And so looking back last fiscal year, we closed about 40 homes up here in Montgomery County using our Montgomery County down payment assistance. So I was looking at those families to see how we did it, because a lot of them were very low income. We had one disabled vet with a wife and 2 children, a very low income, around 45,000 gross. We used his VA loan. We added our down payment assistance, which actually covered that funding fee. So he was able to get into a house, a very comfortable house, around 150,000 purchase price range. The USDA Direct, and I don't know if y'all have ever worked with this before, but this is a great product. USDA, of course, you have to purchase in a rural area as opposed to urban. But the USDA Direct goes directly through the Huntsville office, and they have a subsidized loan product. So the client, if they're income eligible, will be able to get a subsidized loan. Almost, I think last 2 years, it was right around a 1% interest rate. There's no down payment assistance required, but we have added our Montgomery County down payment assistance, and we've gotten our most lowest income families into homes using this kind of combination. I had a single mom with 2 kids. We used the USDA 502 Direct. She had around 40,000 gross annual, and she was able to buy a nice 3-bedroom house for herself and her kids, around 165,000 purchase price range. The other one, I wanted to give you an example of this housing voucher program. This has worked really well. We've put several families in homes using the housing voucher program and our down payment assistance. Last year, we had a single mom with 2 kids. Her gross annual income was around $22,000 a year. And you might say, how is this possible? Well, you had the housing voucher that gives funds towards that mortgage payment for her, so to keeps her out-of-pocket expenses down. We added down payment assistance, and she was able to buy a new construction house in the New Caney area. It works really well. But right now, and I'm gonna share another client that I'm working with actually right now. He is a disabled single man, very low fixed income, probably around 14,000 a month. So very constrained with the income. He's gonna have to stay near his caregiver. So we have a geographic area that we need to stay within. And I'm looking to see if we can't move into a rural area, use a 502 Direct, and use down payment assistance on top to get him into the home. And I'm kind of nearing success on that. So let's move on with the next slide. And so when you're working with these clients, thinking of down payment assistance, how do you determine which program to use? Because there's lots of them out there. Obviously, they have eligibility guidelines, but not all. Even if they're eligible, it doesn't mean that's the right one for them. So the easiest way, when I was talking to my clients, the easiest way is to ask just 3 questions. Have you owned a home in the last 3 years? If you haven't, you are a first-time home buyer. And many programs, almost all the local programs, in fact, are first-time home buyer programs. So that's number one guideline. And the other obviously is income. And I've given you the grid on the bottom of this screen that shows you for the Montgomery area what the income cap is for 80% area medium income. If that household is under that, then they would be eligible for any program out there. I always like to start at the local level because you generally get more down payment assistance than if you go up the food chain, so to speak. But there's great programs. Seth has a great program that is for those higher income level clients. But there you go. If you know if they're under income cap and they're a first-time home buyer, and where do they want to purchase? Because all programs are geographically oriented. So they'll say, well, I want to purchase in Harris County. Well, we know we're going to use either Harris County or perhaps City of Houston, because obviously City of Houston is in Harris County. If they're over income, they could use Seth down there. But say they're going to want to purchase in Montgomery County, they're under 80% AMI, so that opens the door to the Montgomery County program. If they're willing to buy or would like to buy in a rural area, I now have even more options, not only the conventional, the FHA conventional, but maybe the USDA. And if they're under 80%, I could go USDA direct to give that subsidized loan as opposed to the USDA guaranteed, which you'd go through a lender. So you can see there's kind of trade-offs there. So let's go to the next slide. So now you know kind of your options as to which programs that you might be eligible for your clients. So exactly how do I identify those clients? So you have clients who walk in your door and they look like they're going to purchase in this purchase price range that we've been talking about. So they might be eligible for some down payment assistance. So I looked back at the last year and we closed 40 homes in the last year. And I brought up a profile of successful home buyers. So in the past year, we had families' household income anywhere, and these are clients who purchased a home. The income level range was between 20,000 on the lowest level to 72,000. They purchased homes with between 113,000 purchase price to 221,000. And I thought it was interesting, age of borrowers, anywhere from 21 to 75 years of age. So your average client, if they walk in the door and you see that their household income is around 46,000, they're looking to purchase a house around 165,000, then you think, well, now this is a possibility here. They have a potential to be a home buyer. And I put that age range on there because I was a lot of people ask me, in fact, I have clients who call me and say, look, I'm 70 years old, I'm fixed income. Do you think I could get a mortgage? Of course, you can get a mortgage. Well, it depends on your credit and debt, right? And you'll hear about that from Carolina. But I don't want you to forget our more senior citizens. They are being squeezed economically right now. The rent is going up. They, of all of these groups that I see, really need a fixed rate housing payment so they can have a sustainable housing, affordable house to live in. I had just recently a single lady. She was 75 years old. She was on Social Security, but she had a small second job. She was able to buy a house. I think it was $120,000 purchase price, 2-bedroom house, completely delighted. This is a 2-bedroom. And she has a mortgage payment now that is less than what she was paying in rent. And that's a fixed rate. And what a gift that is to the more elderly citizens. I also put up there, 70% of our household have children. So next slide. So I wanted to say, a lot of people, as I said, the great myth is, okay, well, I know they're out there, great resources and all that, but they're just too complicated. I don't want to work with them. Let me tell you, these are the simplest programs to work with. So I'll give you an example of the Montgomery County, how the process works. So your client, you call me and say, I have a client who I think would be eligible for your program. She sends me her application, completed application with all the financial docs. Once I get that completed applications, within 48 hours, I can issue a commitment of funds letter so you know up front that she is eligible for this extra financing. In this case, we're up to $12,600. But more important, I also issue I call it a mortgage projector, and it will tell you exactly what the maximum mortgage payment will be. So those two facts, right up front before you start looking for a house. And so it really helps you kind of narrow down that range, and you're not looking all over the place at houses they can't afford. Now, obviously, she's going to be working with a lender, and your lender also has their criteria that they look at. But isn't that nice to know? And it's so easy. And then once you get that commitment of funds letter, I work directly with the lender until close. So very easy to work with. And other programs as well have great processes set up that you're really not doing that heavy lifting. They are. So next slide, that's my information. I wanted to give you just a last kind of few encouragements, you might say. Use these resources that you have at your fingertips. The financial education, the home buyer education, fabulous for these first-time home buyers, actually for not even just first-time home buyers, but also the down payment assistance programs. There's so many great ones out there. They really work. I have clients that I started working with 15 years ago, some of them still in their homes and just loving it. And these is a population that, as you know, a lot of times they're working the hardest to get there, and they need just that little help that I think down payment assistance can give them. So thank you so much today. I've enjoyed speaking to you. I hope you go out there and start using all these tools at your fingertips. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Katie. That was really, really interesting. So I apologize if I'm looking down. It's because I had to hack the system a little bit and get on my mobile to read your questions in the chat. But the good news is we're getting a lot of great questions. And Carolina and we talk about this at Freddie Mac. It's amazing how many people still think you need at least 20% down in order to get a mortgage. And that is a myth. There are certainly low down payment products, no down payment products as well, depending on the situation. Freddie Mac, we have Home Possible, Home One, and other low down payment mortgage products that go down to as little as 3% down. But certainly there are others out there. Fannie Mae's got theirs, and various lenders offer various products. So definitely love the discussion so far, Katie. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to actually throw a few questions at you. Because they're right on everyone's minds as you just presented. What about the price influx? It seems that the amounts approved for there is little to no inventory for these amounts. Talk to us a little bit about inventory and sort of these skyrocketing home prices and affordability within that context, Katie.
And that's in the news everywhere, right? Some pretty horror stories. Now that's very kind of regional directed. I want to say in Montgomery County, thankfully we don't have quite that problem. Obviously, eventually we'll get there just because of the pressures of people moving up. But I've also worked with clients in these quote high price markets. I had a lady, she was an elderly lady. This was a couple of years back. She wanted to live in the Round Rock area, which, as you know, now is on national news because it's so overpriced. But back then it was getting there, but it wasn't quite so bad. Very much on fixed income. She wanted to stay within 10 miles of her church. So we looked around, and there again, in that area, the down payment assistance was not enough to put her in a house. But we found in the census tract, if she looked at an area about 20 miles away from her church, we could use the USDA, which is, as you know, it's a no down payment requirement. And in fact, she was low enough to use the direct. So she was able to get into the home. Now, she had to make some compromises. She didn't purchase exactly in the area she wanted, but she was very close. I think it gets back to, you've got to really think out of the box here. Yes, we have headwinds, but I looked back when I started 16 years ago working with these clients. And I don't know if you guys remember, but the interest rate, you were grateful to get a 7% interest rate back then. Last couple of years, I've had my clients get like a 3.2% interest rate. That's a gift, guys. And then we worked through the great housing recession, obviously through COVID. During COVID, I had more closings than ever before. And you know why? These people got second jobs. They cleaned up their credit. They were really serious about buying. I think it gets back to, yes, it's not going to be perfect. You're going to have to do the work. At one time, I went through to see how long I spent with any one client. And this was about 5 years ago. And I was spending on the average of about 12 to 18 months. Now it's getting less and less because more lenders and realtors are referring, and they've already done a little bit upfront work to see, yeah, I think that they're ready to go. But I still need at least 3 or 4 months because they always have a debt to take care of. And I didn't mention this, but as important as credit, you're going to hear a lot about credit today, but remember how important that debt is, that fixed debt, because the more fixed debt that client brings to the table, the harder it is to get them into that mortgage payment. And this education you're going to hear about focuses down on that. What is the housing ratios? What does that mean? Why is it important? And I've had people complain about that, and they'll say, well, look, I'm paying over 50%. In fact, this gentleman right now I'm helping, it's paying over 50% towards a rent. That's not sustainable. That's not what we want to do. So a lot of that comes through the education. But as far as inventory goes, look, guys, the market pressures are what they are. We don't have a lot of control over that. But what we do have control is working with that client very closely with the education piece, and also thinking, what can we do to put them in the home? Sustainable mortgage, what can we do? And there's so many resources out there. Should be grateful for that.
Thank you, Katie. That was a really insightful answer. I'm going to throw another question at you before we ask Carolina to share her slides. Earlier, you were talking about a couple of your clients who were single moms. I think this question came up then. Can the programs that you're talking about be used for independent contractors as well? Is this the case for single moms, etc.?
Yeah, so most definitely. In fact, I'm getting more and more clients who are contractors, the 1099. Our program, when we calculate income, we look at every dime that comes into the home. Some programs do a year-to-date. Some programs look at last year's tax. So each program is slightly different about that. But I've had clients who have a W-2, they have a one job, and then they have a 1099 also. I've used all sources, Social Security, SSI, all kinds of support. The source of income is really irrelevant to me. It's really the amount of income, so I can qualify them. And then I look very, very closely at their debt. So most definitely 1099s can use these programs.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. Here's one more. In one of your examples, the disabled veteran received down payment funds that were applied to the funding fee I think they're clarifying if that's the case. And they continue to say, as I recall, some lenders will waive the funding fee when the vet is disabled. Is that under special circumstances?
I don't know I think it's lender specific. So each lender you work with would make that decision. The fact is with both the VA and the USDA, if you bring extra financing to the table, what you're doing in effect is lowering that loan balance. The end result is lowering the loan balance, which lowers the mortgage payment, which then opens up more affordable choices. Just because it does not require, I would always look in to see if they can also qualify for the extra assistance. I know with the USDA 502 direct loan, we cover all the closing costs. There's about 6,000 usually about closing costs. So all of that covers that. And they can get into a mortgage payment that's under $1,000 by doing that.
Awesome. I feel like we could keep going and going with yours. Let's give it and one more question, and then maybe we do Carolina's part, and then we do some more questions. Here's another one related. Is it true that the USDA loan can go up to 40 years for repayment?
It used to, and I'm glad somebody knew that. It used to, in fact, about 7 years ago, I actually had a client who used the 40-year loan. Now it's 33, but it's still longer than a 30. And when they do that, what they're doing is stretching it out to keep that mortgage payment low.
Great, thanks. I'm going to try to actually answer those questions. So I know it comes across as if Katie is mostly focused on Montgomery County, which I know that there's a lot of work you do there. But Katie, is it fair to say that you would be able to take clients who are in other areas as well, such as Harris County, Fort Bend? I believe that's the case, right?
Sure. And I have quite a few clients that come in and they don't know where they want to purchase. And they'll say, well, it might be Harris County or it might be there. But all I can help them out is with the guidelines of the program. A lot of times too, I've been doing this as almost pre-screening because kind of as I mentioned, each program is slightly different on how they calculate income, and every program is very income specific. You have to be under that income cap. And I can help them there say, okay, it looks like if you're purchasing in Fort Bend, you need to be under this income cap, or Galveston, or wherever they're talking about. So just, I can also direct them if there's down payment assistance for that area. Sometimes there's not. If there's not local programs, they'd be state programs or Seth, one of those programs. So I give that kind of information up front. Then if they decided, well, I'm going to be in Harris County, for instance, so I would direct them to lender of their choice who works with that program, and then the Harris County program would take it from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think Katie's an excellent resource in your community. The other thing I like to share with constituents, partners nationwide is if you ever do want to yourself or let somebody know how to find a HUD approved housing counseling agency, you can Google it. But the one I like is you Google HUD approved housing counseling agency and you put in CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, because that way you can search by zip code. Or if you end up on the HUD website, you can search by state, last I checked. So either way, organizations like Easter Seals of Greater Houston are extremely helpful assets to you as an industry professional and to consumers who are either first-time homebuyers, boomerang, returning homebuyers, or even first-generation homebuyers. So with that, let me transition over to my colleague, Carolina. And Carolina is going to share an overview of Freddie Mac's CreditSmart suite of homeownership and financial capability resources. Take it away, Carolina.
Thank you, Mahin. Thank you, Katie. Katie, we always love to hear from the people in the trenches, the people who work directly with consumers. So thank you for those stories. They are important, and you really made very good points. Thank you. Okay, so let's start. why don't we start with what is CreditSmart? CreditSmart, for those of you who have not been able to learn about our program, it is a suite of financial capability and home ownership education resources for consumers and practitioners. We call practitioners our realtors, lenders, the people, like Katie, housing counseling agencies, housing counselors, housing providers, so people in the mortgage and housing industry. And why? Go to the question box and type, why do you think CreditSmart is important? At least those of you who know the program. Maheen, if you can advance the slide. And then let me know what our participants are typing, right? So CreditSmart, why is important? So because financial empowerment elevates communities. Financial empowerment is an approach that helps individuals build wealth and reinforces a lifestyle of beneficial practices, right? Financial best practices and goal settings for homeowners and renters. That's why CreditSmart is important. But let me know, Maheen, what our participants are typing. Just 2 or 3 words is fine.
Yeah, I think the big word here I'm seeing is preparation.
Yes, that's right. Prepares, it educates our consumers. That's right. Thank you. Any other thought?
I mean, I think so far other comments are speaking to this information overall so far has been really wonderful and well received. And so again, I'm just thankful to both of you for sharing what you're sharing today.
Thank you. Great. So that's why we have CreditSmart. If we can move to the other slide, Maheen, please. And think of it as the suite of products. I think of it like a house, right? CreditSmart is the house. And within the house, you have different rooms. You have the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, bedrooms, etc. So the main 2 sides of this house is financial capability and home ownership education. On the financial capability side, we have financial knowledge, we have skills, behaviors, habits, confidence that we create on those consumers who take financial capability. We have access, products, tools, resources. On the homeownership education side, we help those consumers get ready for home ownership, home purchase. We talk about foreclosure prevention and how to avoid foreclosure as well. And we discuss the whole mortgage process under the homeownership education curriculum. And it follows the national industry standards on homeownership education and counseling as well. The suite of resources. So within our house of CreditSmart, we have 5 different products, right, if you will, or programs. So these are CreditSmart Essentials. That's our new financial capability program for the general consumer. And it is designed to provide the foundations of money management and debt, credit building, financial empowerment, and home ownership. Then we have CreditSmart Coach, and that is our new Train the Trainers financial capability program for facilitators or practitioners. And it is very comprehensive because it is a certification program that prepares educators and facilitators to teach CreditSmart to our communities. And we have created multiple type of resources for both Coach and Essentials, such as flyers, brochures, infographics, visuals. So it's a whole program that can be taken to the next level, and you will see all the aspects of these 2 special programs that we have. Then we have CreditSmart Military, specifically designed to address the needs of veterans and active duty military personnel and their families. We have CreditSmart Multilingual, which offers resources in Spanish, Vietnamese, Korean, and Chinese. and we offer an abridged version in English and Spanish. And then we have CreditSmart Homebuyer U, and that is our homebuyer education tool designed, as I already mentioned, to educate first-time homebuyers who seek to purchase Freddie Mac's products, such as Home One and Home Possible. And it is available in English and Spanish and provides a certificate of completion after the user passed a test. Okay. So that's what comprises our entire suite of CreditSmart financial education resources. Our approach, what is our new approach? Our entire CreditSmart suite is available to consumers and practitioners for free. And the curricula is ADA accessible. They meet web content accessibility guidelines for people with disabilities, and we're very proud of that. The content, including graphics, infographics, the vibrant background colors, and you're going to see that in a little bit. The fonts, the font sizes, they are very easy to read. And we have broken the entire content into smaller sections to make it accessible to all types of people. So that's what we have in CreditSmart. We also have incorporated personalized tools so the consumers can customize their experience based on their unique situation. And this is a pretty cool tool. Consumers have the ability to learn on your terms, and it is very inclusive. It is flexible. It is user-friendly. Consumers and facilitators can utilize multiple devices to go through the entire program. Next, Mahim. So one of the new approaches is that it is hosted on a learning management system, and we continue to improve this. We are going to continue offering a coach on a learning management system in future cohorts, and I'm going to explain more. We also have a dedicated web page, and that is the link over there, and I believe we are going to share these slides with the participants so you have it there. And you can go directly to our web page to search for it. Mahim? And the new financial capability content, it's for Essentials, is it's made of 5 different learning paths. We call them learning paths. Money management, credit and debt, consumer protection, housing, planning, and resilience. Within those 5 learning paths, we have different micro modules, and combined, it's about 60 plus total type of mini courses that you're going to go through. And this is the website again, is creditsmart.freddiemac.com on your terms. That's where you are going to see when you first visit our site. And the little screenshot on your right, that's the sign-in page. And there are these 3 different tabs. The CreditSmart Essentials is for consumers. CreditSmart Coach is for practitioners who are going to take our Train the Trainers program. And the last one is for Freddie Mac employees. We also have ambassadors in our company that we're very proud of that. So let's talk about CreditSmart Essentials, the consumer curriculum. So as you can see, I was talking about vibrant colors. It's very user-friendly. It's very engaging. People like to actually read the program, analyze, everything we have put together here. As you can see, there are personalized dashboards, and people seem to like that a lot. Then we can continue, Mahim, because a lot of these slides are to show them how the program looks. This one is the 5 learning path. As you can see here, each of these paths, I don't know if you can, no, you cannot see my mouse. But if you can see here, each of these learning paths have the micro modules I am talking about. Each of them, each of those learning paths have different type of micro modules. They vary in size and numbers. For example, one of them have 5 micro modules, but another one can have between 10 and 12 micro modules. So it varies. Audio function. We also have this incorporated into our programs, and it has the ability to stop, and you can continue next time. So it's a great tool. Next, Mahi. Okay, here we also incorporated calculators, and this is also very cool, like the same as the personalized tools. It's very, very cool to do. This is very interactive as well. Videos. We have also videos. We have tons of infographics throughout the entire curriculum as well. And people find this very interesting. Ability to view several scenarios, promoting full comprehension. This is also, you know, just an example for you to see how it works, and the colors to see how friendly it is. It have ample opportunities to apply new learnings. They have assessments and opportunity to self-check your knowledge as well. And vision board. And here's an example of a user that submitted 12 keywords, and they can work towards that to achieve their goals. And badges, we also like to motivate and reward the users. So we have created a system of providing badges to those who complete certain activities and courses throughout the entire program. And we have Essentials has a diploma at the end. However, this diploma is not the one that the consumers will provide to the lenders. And I will get to that later on. Engaging activities. This is another example of all the activities that we have within the program. Real life subject matter. I think it's important. We have incorporated within CreditSmart, one of the topics is rental assistance and eviction. And well, it has been very well received as well, as we have a huge population of the consumers who are renting, right? And last, I think, but not least, is downloadable resources. We have all type of graphics and PDFs and resources, and they are amazing, especially for those who would like to conduct trainings after they become certified. It's just great, all the tools that we have provided here. And this is an example of a worksheet that people can actually type. You can type that, right, online, and it's because it's very interactive, and you can print that as well. And now CreditSmart Coach. So CreditSmart Coach is for facilitators. It's the new Train the Trainer program. We have created, well, we just launched that, and we are doing our first cohort. We call it the full 2021 cohort, and we are actually training at this moment, right, 150 participants. So it is a certification program. It is this certification program can be achieved if you complete all mandatory activities. It is the entire program. It is done in a course of 3 months, but it is very flexible. What does that mean? It is very flexible because, for example, we give you a little over 2 weeks to complete CreditSmart Essentials, which is part of the entire curriculum. And of course, all the users and practitioners who are taking our CreditSmart Coach have to complete that. We also have different type of activities. We are incorporating in this new program homework discussion boards, which is something that we didn't have in the past. And I can tell you right now, our participants are very engaged with the program. They really like to provide comments. They really like to share their experiences as facilitators, as consumers, right? So it's a great program. This coach program can be completed in between 18 to 20 hours total within the course of the 3 months that I told you about. So it's pretty doable, right? If you can, schedule your time accordingly, it's very doable. People can do it. We have what we call it a blender approach. And what is this? A blender approach, because there are some of the courses that, of course, you have to take online, like CreditSmart Essentials, for example, and the CreditSmart Facilitator Program. Those are done online. You have to submit all the comments for the homework and the discussion boards on the learning management system, so that it's interactive. But we also have instructor-led webinars. We have 4 in the CreditSmart Coach program. We have 2 live Q&A sessions, and we have 2 master classes. And as I mentioned before, yes, you do have 3 months to complete the program, and there is flexibility in the blended approach part. However, for those live webinars, we have set dates. And what we recommend those who would like to take this program is that before they enroll into one of the cohorts, they can, try to see what are those dates that they won't be able to miss, because otherwise they won't be able to get the certificate, since all of the classes are mandatory. But don't worry, we always, for those who have conflicts, we always present this program 3 times a year, in the fall, in the spring, and winter. Imagine. And here we have, this is another example of CreditSmart Coach. This is the practitioner's view. And as you can see, there are all different type of activities they need to complete. The check mark means that that person have completed that particular activity. And the last thing they need to do, of course, is the test. So once the practitioner passes the test, it becomes a CreditSmart Coach facilitator. And we also have incorporated within our new CreditSmart Coach a facilitator toolkit. And that facilitator toolkit is available after the person becomes certified. And there are 2 full weeks for the facilitators to download those toolkits. The toolkit has presentation slides for the facilitators. It has a facilitators guides as well to be able to facilitate the program. And it also has the participants guide, and that's the one that the facilitators can print and provide to the consumers. Or, if it is a virtual training, of course, they can send those to them via electronically. And CreditSmart Homebuyer U. This is our homebuyer tool, as I mentioned, and this was launched in December 2019, and it is free as well. It has the certificate. This is the certificate that the consumers who are interested in seeking a Freddie Mac product, mortgage product, can provide to the lender, right? Because it meets the requirement of homeownership education and counseling as well. It is available in English. The one in Spanish was launched this year in February. And we're very proud of that product. We have had, and probably Mahin can share the number with you, but we have thousands of people already taking this program since it was kicked off almost 2 years ago. right? So that's what we have for CreditSmart Homebuyer U. So it is important that you always make the distinction, because we don't want consumers to get confused between CreditSmart Essentials and CreditSmart Homebuyer U. So if the consumer is a first-time home buyer, you're working with that person, then you have to direct them to take Homebuyer U. The other one, Essentials, is just, it's financial empowerment for them to acquire the financial knowledge they need to succeed in their lives and achieve their financial goals. So it's two different things. I just wanted you to make, to be aware of that. Mahim, what else do we have? On CreditSmart Homebuyer U, well, it's a great tool. We have 6 modules on CreditSmart Homebuyer U, so it's different than CreditSmart Essentials. We have also videos, we have the audio function, infographics, calculators, we have the glossary on both programs, and all different type of resources as well. And this is a view of the program. I wanted to show you this because it's different from the one that you saw before with the 3 tabs. So this is the one they need to go to if they are seeking to buy a Freddie Mac mortgage product. Okay, and as I mentioned, it is available in Spanish as well for those who prefer to take it in Spanish. And this is the feel and look of how the program is presented. The video series, we have that in both English and Spanish. We have animated videos as well. It's very interactive. And the glossary, you can find, like, for example, on this page, if you see the blue font, it means that when you click on that, you can see what's the definition of that particular word or concept, right? And it has embedded calculators, and it has, I think we have here a view of the exam, the test at the end as well. Steps to homeownership. This is just one of the resources that can be downloaded. And as you can see, we have all different type of resources as well. We provide different type of links, and it's for them to, or for the people who are taking it, for them to research more, right? To get more information in different type of organizations. This is the way the certificate looks when the user completes the program. And this is the one that is provided to the lenders. And that's all for CreditSmart suite of financial education and homeownership resources. So I'm happy to take any questions right now.
Thank you, Carolina. That was great information. We definitely have some questions here. So let's start with this one. How do you participate in the Train the Trainer program, also known as CreditSmart Coach?
Great. So I don't know if we can share, Mahin, right now on the chat, the subscription center that it's hosted on Housing Professionals Resource Center. And I can see if I can share the link myself, or let me know if you cannot. So
yeah, if you can, Carolina, in a couple of minutes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's one of the ways that you subscribe. I suggest you subscribe to our Housing Professionals Resource Center, because when we announce one of the cohorts, we send it to all of the, the practitioners who are in our distribution list. So that's one of the things you will learn firsthand about the program whenever it is, announced. We typically announce each cohort 15 days before it starts. For example, for the fall cohort started on October 1st, and we send the invitations on September 15th. So about 2 weeks before. And I also suggest that, around those times, you check your inbox, right? Because for this one, and this is a secret to all of you, the first cohort was completely booked, right? Sold out within 36 hours after we send the first announcement. So it is very popular. We have a capacity right now of 150 individuals. We will increase that in the future, but for now, that's what it is. So if you cannot get on this one, you will always try to get on the next one. So that's how you get there. Also, you can visit our webpage and you have the information there. We have the links in 2 instances on this slide. You can go there, and then when you click on coach, it will tell you when that invitation will be available for you
Awesome.
to enroll into the program.
Thanks, Carolina. I'm going to try to answer this question. This is definitely a good question. Is this mobile ready? The pandemic taught us that many households utilize their phones and do not own tablets, PCs, laptops, etc. And we are 100% agree and are very cognizant of that. So specific to the 3 different programs or pathways that Carolina shared, you remember first we showed some slides on CreditSmart Essentials, which is our brand new financial capability curriculum. It can definitely help with financial readiness. So even for aspiring home buyers on the credit, on the debt, and on their overall financial situation, their resilience to disasters, even planning for the future, things like that. That is what CreditSmart Essentials is all about. And that is a mobile first curriculum, meaning it's designed for optimal experience on mobile. It's also usable by tablet and laptop, and it is ADA accessible, like Carolina said, for people with disabilities. And in fact, once you're registered, you can register with any email address yourself as a housing professional, or you can ask your clients to register. Again, we do hope that you share it with your clients because it's a really good DIY type of resource. So there are a couple of ways you can do it. The individual can spend their own time, come in and out of CreditSmart Essentials on their own time, learn and, kind of personalize that experience. And then you as a professional, again, if you do go to CreditSmart Coach and you become certified as a facilitator, then you access that instructors or facilitators toolkit that Carolina was talking about. And in that, you probably would be interested to know you'll also get a lot of PowerPoint slides. We did not used to offer that before. So, you get marketing materials, PowerPoint slides, facilitator's guide, etc. And then you can do one-on-one or workshop, group workshop types of financial capability sessions. You can do them virtually on Zoom or whatever works for you. You can do them in person. So again, CreditSmart Coach is a companion to CreditSmart Essentials. CreditSmart Essentials is basically the DIY path for your clients. And then Coach is the way you can deliver that information. So those 2 programs go hand in hand. They're both new. They were launched this past summer, and both are ADA accessible. Once you're registered in CreditSmart Essentials, you can also go to the resources section within that system. It's kind of small. You really have to look for it in the hamburger menu in the upper right-hand corner with the 3 lines that you typically find on mobile or laptop, tablet, and then you'll find resources. And in the resources section are a bunch of infographics, worksheets that Carolina talked about, and the participant guides. So again, those are for an individual who may prefer a printed version of this information or want to combine it with that digital experience that I just described. So again, CreditSmart Essentials, CreditSmart Coach, that's the financial capability side of the house. And then over to Homebuyer U is what Carolina just talked about. And I know this can be really tricky for people. It's like, wait a minute, are you saying I can use Essentials with my clients and I can use Homebuyer U? Yes. And then I'm going to get to another question that I just got, which is, what about that certificate for CreditSmart Homebuyer U? Is that just for Freddie Mac loans or programs or products? actually, it's not just for our products. We believe in education and provide it for people around the country. And you do not have to get a Freddie Mac loan product in order to take advantage of these resources. So if your client is looking for homeownership education certificate for a down payment assistance program or for whatever program, they're welcome to use CreditSmart Homebuyer U. They can use it for their learning. They can try to attain the certificate. The key question is going to be, does that program accept our CreditSmart Homebuyer U certificate? We also get a question a lot. Wait a minute, is it HUD approved? So HUD approves housing counseling agencies like Katie's Easter Seals of Greater Houston. HUD does not approve Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac is a government-sponsored enterprise, but our Homebuyer U course meets the national industry standards on homeownership education and counseling. So it checks a lot of boxes. That's why it is popular. Carolina teed it up. She mentioned how many people use it. We get something like 6,000 to 8,000 people using and completing Homebuyer U every month. So it is pretty popular. We've had more than 1,000 people complete it since it launched in February, March of this year in Spanish as well. So it's quite popular. But I am also a big fan of housing counseling. So you can certainly go to a great housing counseling organization, because as you can tell from what Katie talked about, there is a type of, I'm sorry if I'm not saying it the way you want me to say it, Katie, but it's almost like hand holding. You do this kind of really working with the individual over the course of weeks and months, which is just really high touch, right? And you're also presenting to them various types of resources like CreditSmart. Maybe there are some others, right? So that there can be a combination of the real estate professional, the housing counselor, CreditSmart resources, whatever it takes, because it takes a village. And you guys, we can do this as, you know, partners in the industry. So I definitely want everyone to see that these are sort of complementary resources. Certainly it's not one versus another. I don't know if my colleagues on the panel would like to add anything or delete anything from what I'm saying, but I do feel strongly that it's important that people know that there's so many good ways to leverage these community resources.
I have a
Go
question
ahead,
here
Carolina. Yes, thank you.
about,
Go ahead.
do you still offer the manuals for the facilitator to use in any classes? We do have the facilitators in the facilitators toolkit, as I mentioned before, and also I had mentioned that again. Yes, we do have the facilitator toolkit, and that can be accessed after the facilitator becomes a CreditSmart Coach certified facilitator.
Thank you, Carolina. Continuing on here, more great questions. So is it recommended for someone who has taken the Train the Trainer program, which is now called CreditSmart Coach, before to retake it? Carolina, can you speak to that real quick?
Maheen, what was the question again?
So if you've taken the CreditSmart Train the Trainer program in the past, what about now? Should you retake it?
Oh, yes, because it's a new program and we have incorporated so many other topics as well. And another reason why, it's because we need to we need to keep bringing updated information all the time. There are so many different things that change in the market, so many trends that are new, regulations and all of that. So we always try to bring up-to-date information to all of our practitioners. Our certificate, the old one, was valid for 3 years, and this one, CreditSmart Coach, is valid for 2 years. So let's say, for example, if you already passed just 3 years, so you're now due for this one, or if you still are, if you're still current with the old one, then we suggest that you take it as soon as possible if you continue to provide education via CreditSmart to your consumers.
Awesome. Carolina, if I can prompt you, I'm going to try to address another question. If you don't mind dropping in the chat the link to the Freddie Mac Real Estate Professional Subscription Center, because we definitely have some participants who want to know how to get notified of upcoming CreditSmart Coach cohorts. So and by the way, to our friends on the webinar today, you will also get notified of other training opportunities and other informative resources through signing up for that subscription center. Everything is free. That's another question we're getting in the chat is, do these resources cost anything? Nada, nothing. With CreditSmart
No,
is completely
it's free.
completely free. Yes. So this is a question nobody has asked, but I'm going to go ahead and point it out. So sometimes our partners want to know, can I charge to do a workshop, or kind of how do I cover my costs for hosting a workshop? And, you might provide some cookies or a light lunch or something like that. And that is if you become certified through the coach program. So our terms of use are definitely available on our website. And the quick answer to that question is, we would like for our partners not to charge anything substantially for CreditSmart workshops. However, we understand that you may have some basic costs to cover with regards to getting the space and getting, the food or whatever, if you're doing an in-person event. And so it's, kind of at a nominal level, we're okay with that. But I do encourage everyone to check out our terms of use. They're pretty broad, pretty expansive. We've tried to make this easy for you, because again, we love that our partners spread the education in the community. So I'm just scanning the chat and I'm checking out if I know we had a question that I wanted to also get back to Katie with, and I'm just trying to finish out the CreditSmart related questions. So
yeah, Maheen, and participants, I just share the subscription center link.
Perfect.
So you can go ahead and click on that and bookmark that as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Carolina.
Yes,
yes, please do check that out. And then here's a good one. If I finish CreditSmart Essentials before I get invited to the Train the Trainer program, will it count towards the coach program? Carolina, what do you think of that?
So right now we don't have the capability of doing that. And we might be able to look into it for future cohorts.
Thanks, Carolina. Okay, let's see here. We noticed that most programs advise the client to get pre-approved before locating a realtor. However, all lenders do not offer all programs or do not inform the clients about various programs. How do we get you to recommend realtors prior to recommending being pre-approved, since the realtor walks the buyer through the home buying process, not the lender? That is a really good question. I'd love for Katie to speak to that. And I'm sharing, if you can see the slide, there happens to be a slide in our deck that is from CreditSmart Homebuyer U, which is the deep dive course in CreditSmart on homeownership. And we, had shared this infographic that we had in here just as an example. But certainly, we understand that this is a very important question, is that what kind of it's almost like the right sequence of working with the client. So Katie, what are your thoughts?
Well, obviously I have a lot of clients that are referred to me from lenders and realtors because they've already evaluated them and saying they're probably good candidates for our program. But here's the thing. Personally, I would prefer reaching out to that client specifically and figuring out if they truly fit within the program, because lenders calculate income differently than our program does, as opposed to any other program. We're all different. So maybe a lender says, well, I don't think you qualify, but they come to me and the way I calculate, yes, they do qualify. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean that they're still a good fit to the program, because here we go with the debt. I pull the credit and see where they are on the debt as far as housing ratios. For me personally, it's the easiest this way. The client comes to me first. I can give an overview to see which programs they qualify. If they don't qualify anything, then they need to start reassessing their ideas of where they want to purchase. and giving them options. I don't tell them what to do. I just tell them, okay, it looks like you qualify for these programs, you would get this much. By their housing ratios, your mortgage payment would be this much. Now they have an idea of kind of what parameters of how expensive their house is. Then they go to a realtor or to a lender and make their own choices. So I'm really not telling them what to do. I'm just giving them an overview of what's out there.
Thank you, Katie. Thanks for your perspective on that. And we understand, we know that a lot of times the realtor is the very first stop, and which is exactly why we're talking to you today, is because you have such an important role to play as a trusted partner for that aspiring home buyer. But regardless of what order this happens in, there's still opportunity for education, for that financial empowerment, and for that deep dive into homeownership education. Sometimes I like to say, sometimes we're just trying to check the box with getting that certificate for homeownership education, but that's just the beginning of someone's journey as a homeowner. We want them to be successful and sustain homeownership if that's what they would like to do over the long term. And so this is why that preparedness is so important. And that's why we've designed our CreditSmart resources as well, to not just be sort of like a one-time thing. People can come in and use them and come back to them. Like, again, they can set up their account. It's free. Come back to it as many times as you need to. And a lot of people we have a required survey actually before, it's very short, before you get your certificate for CreditSmart Homebuyer U. And I see the survey responses every month from thousands of users. And 4 out of 5 on average say they would recommend it to others. And they say, I wish this were taught to me in college. I wish I had this information before, like earlier in my home buying journey, because for many of them by now they're ready to go to the closing table. And that's why number 1 on this infographic here is really get that education, get that empowerment, be as ready as possible. And then what we hear from our professional partners as well, then the individual is more prepared and there's less hand-holding perhaps that is done by the professional. So we do hope that these resources can be helpful as complementary to your efforts. One more question, and then I think we'll round out for the day. And this was from earlier. So Katie, I'm going to direct this your way as well. Do you have a list of lenders who have more knowledge of the mentioned 40 plus down payment programs? Not all lenders know about programs or want to dig into knowing the programs. Whether or not you have a list, Katie, what is the best way to get this knowledge?
Yeah, and that's a good point, because look, lenders are overworked just like realtors are overworked. They can't possibly know about all these programs. I honestly don't know. I know that there's over 40, but then when they decide where they want to purchase, I have to go in and look at the guidelines myself and study up, because each one is different. So yes, I have a list of lenders who I worked with, but let's be upfront. A consumer might go to a lender and a lender approve them and say, no, you don't need to use down payment. I can get you in the home that way. Well, fine and good. But if they qualify for down payment assistance, any kind of assistance, why not use it? And they might not recommend the education piece if they're not a first-time home buyer and they're not requiring, which I think is essential for everybody buying a house now. So be very careful. There's so many lenders out there that have a true passion and they're terrific, but they can't possibly know all the nuances, or maybe think out of the box a little bit and say, yes, this is good, but we might move over and use these products because we can attach this. Now, there's a lot that goes into getting that client into just the right sustainable mortgage.
Thank you, Katie. Well, Zelda, it's been a pleasure. Katie and Carolina, thank you so much for both sharing a lot of information today, but also answering questions and kind of, for all of us to almost think together, what are the flexible ways to serve the community? And I'm heartened every time I see, Katie, what you present. It's really good to hear and know from your personal experience that almost no matter what your income, right, what your financial circumstances, there are ways to get aspiring home buyers into their homes. And so I think that's what gives Catalina and me and our colleagues at Freddie Mac just a lot of just, makes us feel very strongly about the importance of this work. So with that, Zelda, thank you so much, and back to you.
Well, wow, this has been a ton of information, and I'm sure that our participants have learned a lot from both Katie and Carolina. When we first talked to Maheen, she didn't think that it would be enough information to cover the whole session, but I tell you, I think you just about did it, Maheen. So thank you all for asking the questions and for them taking the time out to answer the questions. But now I would like to take just a couple of minutes to inform our participants about some of the resources that are available that were not covered. That's going to help them also in assisting their clients to achieve the dream of home ownership. We've got local down payment assistance programs through the city of Houston. I think Katie mentioned that earlier. Harris County also has money. Then Southeast Texas Housing Assistance Program, which is better known as SETH. And with SETH, did you know that your buyer can actually make up to $138,000 and still qualify for their programs? And when I say your buyer, meaning the person who's on the 1003, not the household income, but the person who's on the 1003 can use the program and use their funds if they make up to $138,000. Then we've got the Community Land Trust that's offered through the City of Houston Housing Department, and it is soon to be offered through Harris County Housing Department as well. They're in the process of developing their Community Land Trust program. Currently, there's an approximation of only 160 community land trusts that are operating in every region of the country, which means that with Harris County and the City of Houston, they've taken on a great task of wanting to bring that into our city and our area because of the high cost of land that we're experiencing, and because of buyers being being overpriced or being priced out of purchasing a home. They've taken this up and they want to be an intricate part in helping our buyers achieve homeownership as well. I also want to mention that Whitney Bank has a program that's for a limited time. With that program, it's no money down, there's no MI, and the interest rate is only 2.5%. So you may want to look into that program as well. I want to encourage you to contact a HUD housing counselor and get to know more about what they have to offer. I've personally worked very closely with Katie in the past and can vouch that she does amazing work with your clients and walk with you and your client through the home purchase process. So housing counselors are an awesome resource for you as a realtor in helping your clients understand the process. So those are some of the local programs to assist your clients, but the state have programs also. We've got the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, that's better known as TDHCA. And then another one is the Texas State Affordable Housing Corporation, that's better known as TSHAC. And did you know, well, Katie mentioned it, that the Houston Housing Authority also helps your client to purchase a home. Now, when we say Houston Housing Authority of the voucher program, we're talking about what most of you call Section 8. Section 8 assists their clientele when they qualify with the funds to purchase their own home and then to pay their monthly mortgage as well, just as they do with the monthly rent. But how many of you are familiar with the Mortgage Credit Certificate Program, known as the MCC? Well, this program gives your buyers up to $2,000 in tax credits each year for the life of their mortgage. So let me do the math for you. If your buyer chooses to take out a 30-year loan and take 30 years to pay off that mortgage, they will receive up to $60,000 in tax benefits. Well, in addition to these monthly webinars that we've been having, and again, this is the last one that we're offering for the year, I want to introduce you to some of the other programs that HAR offers. And one in particular is the Texas Affordable Housing Specialist class, where we have 2 full days to discuss each one of these programs and more in much more detail. We always have representatives from these programs to speak to our classes, so be sure to register for the next one that's on April 4th and 5th of 2022. So with that being said, I would like to once again thank Maheen, Carolina, and Katie for the great information that they provided and shared with us on today. And a big thanks to each of you for taking the time to become more educated, not just for yourself, but for your clients as well. As I mentioned, this is the last webinar for affordable housing programs that HAR is hosting for 2021. However, we will be back next year with regular sessions centered around this very important topic. So be on the lookout for those dates. And if there's nothing else, I hope to see you next year. Have a great rest of the week.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.